Hey there, it's another beautiful day. Let's watch some stuff.
You know the real reason why all these planes are crashing all over the world? There has been literally 99 aviation accidents this year alone. They're literally conditioning people to scare them from traveling. It's exactly like the Truman Show. They literally scared him from traveling so he wouldn't realize what the world was. In the Truman Show, when he goes to the airport to book a ticket, they literally have like a poster saying, "Travelers beware, diseases, wild animals, and street gangs." Literally all fear mongering so he wouldn't travel. That is exactly what they're doing right now. They're literally conditioning people to not want to get on airplanes and travel. Why are they doing this? It's so that you can get used to being stuck in your 15-minute cities. They say that air transport is the most safest form of transport. Why this year alone has there been 99 incidents already with 14 fatal crashes?
I love the way he connected those dots because I never thought of that. I know that sometimes something happens in the news and then they hyper focus on incidents just like that to make a point, whatever the point may be, but there are always plane crashes, but suddenly they're all huge and in the news, like everybody needs to pay attention to it because they want you to be comfortable in your little space. Oh, that's brilliant.
I seriously think about this every single day, and I'm sorry if I sound stupid. If somebody has $500 and they've already paid taxes on it, and they give it to me, so now just because it goes from them to me, I also have to pay taxes on it, even though they just did. And then not only that, but anytime I spend one of those $500, I'm going to also pay another tax fee on whatever item I'm buying. And then whoever I bought the item from will have to pay taxes on the money they just earned from what I bought. So every single dollar.
That's right.
Just forget it.
Good for you. Just 100 years ago, we would go to war for government to tax us. Today we say, yes, sir. Here's my tax money on everything. We don't question it anymore. Keep questioning. Whoever this girl is, keep questioning. I like the direction you're going.
Dude, for real. Taxes are crazy. And yes, he's absolutely right. Remember the Boston Tea Party? That was over tax. You can't do that now. No, we just frickin' sit back and take it. Well, we give it, really, because the government's taking it all day, every day. My work phone just went ding.
I'm a chicken farmer and they are bullshitting you about the reasons why your eggs are so expensive. Listen, when you consider the fact that we consume over 9 billion chickens a year and just in meat alone, there's over, in 2023, we had over 382 million egg laying hens in this country alone. And so far, we've only lost 300 million birds worldwide. It doesn't make sense. They say the same shit every year. I know it because I'm a chicken farmer. I see the same alerts. And I see the same opportunities to jack up prices, and yet I choose not to. Listen, when you look at these large facilities, a lot of these birds aren't dying of bird flu. They are dying of neglect. They don't give the freaking vitamins, oregano, all the supplements they are supposed to be getting. They're getting in these mega facilities, and these birds are dying of disease and neglect. And every time a bird dies, they say bird flu. I'm telling you, they're bullshitting you.
I've seen a lot of these chicken farmer videos and they're like, I don't get it. They're still selling their chickens and their eggs at the same price to these corporations. And then the corporations turn around and they're like, hey, we got a chicken shortage. Let's make a little extra money. And that's what they do. It's a manufactured shortage because all of these freaking companies, these restaurants and stuff, they've still got plenty of chicken. But they're raising their prices now because they have to buy from the supplier, so the people have to pay more. So it's these companies manufacturing these issues to get more money. I can see that.
Owns all the meat packers. There's only 4 meat packers in this country. BlackRock owns them all. And you can say to them, you need to do antitrust suits against those meat packers. The meat packers are keeping the price of meat high and the price of cows low. So the farmer gets hurt, the consumers get hurt, and they make the money because they've got a monopoly. There are many other things like, BlackRock owns all the pharmaceutical companies, and we can start regulating the pharmaceutical companies so that they behave less like a cartel.
I'm pretty sure I just said something like that they're manufacturing this thing and they raise the prices and then the farmers are hurting and then the people are hurting because the farmers still have to buy food too. And if they're buying food at exorbitant prices and they're selling their wares at crap prices because that's what the companies are paying, oh man, it's crazy. I cannot stand this. I hope that something gets found out and they're like, hey, we messed up. I mean, nobody will ever admit that they messed up, but a girl can dream.
Remember how I said earlier in this speech that the farmers need to give up their farms before 2030, specifically that year? Yeah, so that's not a coincidence. That year doesn't come out of nowhere. So that year is basically the deadline that our global elites have given our country and will probably give you to abide by these new regulations. And that agenda is called the 2030 agenda. And now I have a slide showing you what that entails. So the 2030 agenda is a United Nations agenda. So there we go. Everybody is part of the United Nations, right? The entire world. And this agenda consists of 17 what they call sustainable development goals. And when you take a look at them right there, you're like, well, what's wrong with that? You know, they all seem very noble. No poverty, no hunger. Who could be against that? However, if we take a closer look at how they actually want to accomplish all of this, anybody with 2 functioning brain cells realizes that this cannot happen unless there is an active and maybe even forceful redistribution of goods, foods, property, and our rights, which basically comes down to the obliteration of all of our basic liberties and our rights. And these goals, as I said, are not restricted solely to the Netherlands. They are global. And that's where we see their true motive. The people behind this want to establish a one world government, a new world order in which they decide what we eat, when we eat, where we travel, when we travel, who we meet, and what we are allowed to spend our money on. Basically, control over every single aspect of our lives. And I'm sure that many of you have heard the famous sentence from Klaus Schwab, you know, where he says, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, right? Yeah, that's this agenda. So why are the people behind this agenda specifically targeting farmers? Well, it's because obviously they really want our way of life and the things that we eat to radically change. They don't want us to eat foods that make us strong. They want us to eat synthetic meat created by Bill Gates. They want us to eat bugs. They want us to drink soy milk so that we become weak and obedient, and we do as they say, and we buy what they offer.
I've got my fingers crossed, but if YouTube didn't show you an awesome 2.5-minute clip about the World Economic Forum, check out my Rumble page. It's unedited and it's there. But basically, this woman just tied everything up that we saw. And let me give you a little inside track on how I do my video pulling. I watch the first few seconds and go, that's good, and I save it. And then I go through and I go, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, in no particular order. And I think it's fascinating the way that these all came into order today, because now I'm rearranging my thoughts. Perhaps that's what's happening. Oh, there's a bird flu. I know we've talked about this part before, like the bird flu is manufactured and they're just trying to get us to stop eating meat, just like all of that frickin' beef was being recalled for the longest time, right? So they're trying to get us to stop eating meat. And then the farmers go under, but then they get bought out by these huge corporations, which then control the food. Oh my goodness, it's all coming together. And then we're all used to our little positions because nobody's gonna fly anywhere because we're all scared to fly. Oh man, okay. Just mind-boggling right there. It all just comes together perfectly and really scary sounding, doesn't it?
Welcome to the idiocracy effect. The world is dumbing itself down on purpose. You're experiencing something I call the idiocracy effect. The suffocating feeling of being trapped in a society designed for the lowest common denominator. It was inspired by the 2006 film Idiocracy, which imagined a future where stupidity spreads unchecked, making intelligence a rare and endangered trait. The movie was supposed to be a joke. Instead, it became prophecy. And here's the terrifying truth. Once a population stops thinking, it becomes easy to control. We live in an era where emotion beats logic. People react to headlines instead of processing facts. Debates resemble playground arguments. Screaming is louder than reason. People seek validation, not truth. Beliefs matter more than reality. This isn't just annoying, it's dangerous. Because once a society stops valuing intelligence, that intelligence begins to vanish.
That really ties in too. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited with the way that these are falling together today. We've talked about the GATE program, and it's been going on for I don't even know how long. I was in the GATE program all throughout elementary, actually all throughout my entire education process. But they were weeding out like the special gifted ones to go on to do whatever the special gifted ones are needed to do. And then everybody else is just slowly held back. That's insane. If you haven't seen that movie, Idiocracy, I suggest you see it. It is absolutely hilarious and kind of true. It's beginning to happen a little bit at a time.
Tell me, what is something they told you in school that you found out is a complete lie?
That you'll need to be able to do advanced math without a calculator, that the food pyramid was designed for your health and not the cereal industry, that you should trust the experts but don't question why they all work for the same corporations, that if we don't pay our taxes, we wouldn't have any roads, that the banks need bailouts or else we'd be in a recession forever, that homeschooling leads to indoctrinating children and universities with 97% left-leaning professors definitely don't, that the CIA would never arm terrorists in foreign countries to create vassal states, that Hollywood celebrities would never have a suspiciously high rate of grooming children, that pharmaceutical companies definitely deserve immunity from all those strange health anomalies over the last 3 years.
I don't think I learned most of those things in school, but I've definitely learned them from the mainstream media, and they're certainly turning out to be not true, aren't they?
This is off topic, but what do the dolphins know? I'd like to remind you that the government told us that the aliens are living in the ocean, and they also told us it's illegal to try and interact with a wild dolphin. And I mean interact in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Don't try and talk to it. Don't try and elicit a response from it. Don't feed it. Don't touch it. Don't nothing. Don't even look at that bitch. Now, they say this is to protect dolphins and humans alike, and I'll buy that because they're wild animals, okay? But why can't I even try to speak to it? Why can't I even just try to elicit out of it? I don't know how dolphins sound. They don't understand me and I don't understand them, right? Right? It is a felony to even attempt this behavior. There's even a snitch line for it. Dolphins are too smart. They are self-aware. They have shown signs of empathy because they'll help out other creatures, including human beings. They can communicate amongst themselves in a language that we don't understand at all. It's the clicks and the, you know what I'm saying, those high-pitched noises. Some of them our ears can't even pick up on. They are the second smartest creature on Earth behind us. Do they have a conscience? They live in an environment that we haven't explored 80% of. We don't know 80% of what's down there in that ocean, but you know who does? Dolphins. And we are not allowed to talk to them. I'd like to know why that's a felony.
Did you catch that? She said we don't know of 80% of the ocean. Remember how we've always been taught that we've explored 5% of the ocean? I don't know how we got up to 20%, but yay, I guess. But yeah, dolphins, oh my goodness. That's a pretty interesting story. So long and thanks for all the fish.
If you get time, watch this.
Questions of you, and a simple yes or no is fine. The FDA's authority over the safety of baby lotion. First, can the FDA require a review of baby lotion for safety before it comes to market?
No, we cannot.
Can the FDA require the manufacturer not to use a toxic ingredient, for example, formaldehyde, in its baby lotion?
No.
Is the manufacturer required to register with the FDA before selling its baby lotion?
No.
So I think my first statement is becoming truer. Once the baby lotion comes to market, can the FDA require safety information about the baby lotion?
No.
If the baby lotion has caused bad reactions in the babies, can the FDA require a recall?
No.
If the manufacturer is aware of the baby's bad reactions, would the manufacturer be required to report that to the FDA?
No.
Well, I think everybody's paying rapt attention here.
Well, that certainly is interesting, isn't it? And I think that holds true for a lot of large companies because they're all owned by the same people who have people that own them in the FDA, which regulates themselves. But if a little mom and pop shop comes out and they want to make some kind of baby lotion or any kind of food, there's all kinds of people like, oh no, you gotta follow these rules and do this, that, and the other thing, and labels, and oh my goodness. Because that's taking a little bit of money away from those big companies who are owned by like 8 companies that control everything that isn't a mom and pop. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Breaking news, text messages from within Fox 11 News in Los Angeles reveal that reporters are being told not to cover the secret recording of the Mayor Bass phone call released on Friday. In the phone call from January 4th, just 3 days before the fires, Mayor Bass preemptively defends her Ghana trip.
And just in terms of my trip, just so you know, I'm missing 2 work days. That's it.
She also sends a very cryptic message to read between the lines, whatever that means.
And hopefully you can read in between the lines. But I would just appreciate, and it's hard for me to tell you this, but hold tight. You will understand soon.
Now, in these text messages provided to Citizen Journalism Foundation within Fox 11, they read, quote, I know the company's Fox's lawyers have had some concerns about this one and have asked us to pause. I wish it was up to me. It's an interesting tape, and I'd like to know what she's referring to. We also asked if Fox 11 can at least cover this on social media. They were informed they were barred from posting the story on social media as well. Yeah, it's both for now. We'll work to get clearance on both. Now, this recording of Mayor Karen Bass has received 6 million views on X, and residents are demanding answers about what she meant by what she was saying in this recording. Of course, this is one of the problems with access journalism, where corporate media outlets are afraid to be too adversarial for biting the hand that feeds them. Fox 11 coming off a big interview with Mayor Karen Bass recently, and maybe she's not too happy about it, but this is why we need citizen journalism, why we can't rely upon the corporate press or the legacy media to do the job, where we have to do what is right, and only what is newsworthy is the biggest consideration. Of course, sometimes what's lost in corporate media and legacy media is any semblance of right and wrong.
Isn't it so awesome that now we have so many more media outlets than just the legacy corporations? Because now we hear all the stuff that they keep tucked away, and we hear about them trying to tuck it away. Now, I was stuck in my office doing taxes all weekend, so I kind of just listened to the TV because you can hear it through this wall where my husband sits and watches TV, and he was listening to the Karen Bass tape, and I found the whole thing, and I haven't heard the whole thing yet, so we're going to check it out right now.
The situation is very dangerous, and I would never do. I will take the criticism before I do a publicity stunt. And frankly, a press conference at this point in time would just be publicity.
I think
the
neighbors, the property owners,
yeah,
and the residents. I mean, 41,000 people live within a square mile here.
Yeah.
2 families share a 1-bedroom apartment.
But they want to hear that something is going to be done.
They want to know it's recognized. Recognized.
Exactly. But if I have a choice between that and compromising something, I just have to go along with it. It's not my area of expertise. I want to make sure that you are safe. And hopefully you can read in between the lines. But I would just appreciate and it's hard for me to tell you this, but hold tight. You will understand soon.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And when I am able to talk, I will be happy to go into great detail.
Okay. And you've got me on the street, and you're welcome to call me at any time. I'll call you right back.
No problem. And just in terms of my trip, just so you know, I'm missing 2 work days. That's it. And if President Biden extends me an invitation, I took.
All right, so all of this stuff that I'm seeing says that this was recorded on January 4th, and the Palisades fire, well, all the LA fires started on January 7th. Now, I don't think she's talking, I'm not defending her because I can't stand her, but I don't think she's talking about the fire. I think she's talking about the homeless situation, how there are people crammed into these little, I've seen one of them, little tent cities. It's like this little tiny area that's like blocked off, and there's like 100 little tiny little houses in there. They're like studio apartments, really. And I think that's what they're talking about, is the homeless situation. And I think it might be getting twisted to be about the fires. Now, if it is actually about the fires and that's why they're like, don't talk about it, then that's just absolutely freaking crazy. But I don't think that's what that she was talking about.
Another one, if I'm sorry, thank you. On the FBI, the president also announced a new deputy director of the FBI, Dan Bongino. From what has been reported, and maybe this is not accurate reporting, you can tell me, the FBI director, Kash Patel, informed Republican senators that it would be an individual named as the deputy who was a special agent currently at the FBI. And of course, Mr. Bongino is not. What was the reason for naming Mr. Bongino to this position? And was Mr. Patel not correct in making that assurance to those senators?
I'm not sure if anybody in this room has listened to Mr. Bongino when he talks about the past corruption at the FBI, when he talks about his experience serving for the United States Secret Service. This is a man who loves his country and who has honorably served our country in ways that many people have not. He understands the depth of the corruption at these institutions, which the American people re-elected President Trump to shake up. And I think it's quite despicable to see many networks in this room who have had chyrons on their television screens labeling Mr. Bongino as a far-right podcaster. He is not. He is a former law enforcement agent. He is a former Secret Service agent who put his life on the line to protect this country, and that is why the President of the United States has entrusted him for this important role. He's also an outsider to this Washington swamp, and we often see that when outsiders are appointed to such coveted positions, a lot of people in this city get very, very nervous, and they should be, because Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Attorney General Bondi are focused on rooting out the corruption at these agencies and ending the weaponization of government once and for all.
I watched this press briefing yesterday, and that part stood out to me particularly since we're talking about media manipulation and things being twisted. Some outlets are putting that little stupid thing at the bottom that says that he's a far-right podcaster. But other outlets are putting at the bottom how he's a former Secret Service agent, he's a former FBI agent, and my husband brought this up to me. He's like, I just saw that the other day, and I was wondering why these different outlets are labeling it differently. And it's media manipulation. It's what they want you to see because they're controlling what you're thinking about these particular people. So those little things down at the bottom, while people are reading them, they're getting in your brain.
Years ago, in a laboratory where biologists were accessing the human genome, and they discovered a gene that we have. It's called the worship gene. The interesting thing about this worship gene, two things actually. One thing is they discovered that it was inserted into the human genome about 200,000 years ago. Now, why is that significant? Well, that's significant because, where's this book at? According to the ancient Sumerian tablets, right? According to the Sumerian tablets, about 200,000 years ago is when mankind was genetically modified and forced to do the labor of the gods. That's why it's ironic.
Now, if you've been here with me for any amount of time, you know that me and Billy Carson have had a falling out. Well, I've had a falling out. Billy Carson doesn't even know that I exist, but I love that little piece of information, and it makes me all excited about the Anunnaki, which I haven't brought up in a while. Maybe we'll have to take a little detour back into Anunnaki stuff because I love it. I think it's fascinating, and I think that's interesting that we have a worship gene, quite possibly. And I feel like it's being taken advantage of by those people that were chosen through the GATE program to rule us all. Huh. So I had another clip, which was really awesome, but it talked about marshmallows. And I still have my warning until the end of March, so I had to cut it out. And we're just gonna go right into our story, part 4.
First thing I noticed, my shadow's on it. And what I've been saying through the whole thing, there's no shadows anywhere. So I'm spinning around looking everywhere and I say, no light fixtures. You know, okay, we got luminosity with no light fixtures and no shadows. Now we got a thing sitting here, it's got my shadow on it. Of course, normal down here. And I noticed something else. As big as it is, on my device, I had probably 5 miles of wiring. Screws, nuts, bolts, well-lined seams, and all this stuff. This dang thing, as big as it was, not one screw, rivet, weld-lined seam. It looked like it grew like an eggplant. And I was just dying to turn around and say to him, how the hell did you build this thing? And I figured I already got enough trouble asking about dirt. They really go nuts on that one.
If you say it's aqua blue, did it have, in terms of its specularity, was it glossy? Was it flat? Did it have a kind of an aluminum look? Was there like particles
Different
in it?
areas. The bone ectoskeleton structure, that was flat. The big round spheres, which in my engine would be cyclotrons,
Okay.
they were like the aqua color, but they were smooth. And when I walked up to it, I noticed my shadow, right? And so I go like this. My shadow's just a split second behind me. So I'm going, I'm watching it, you know, and I turned around and looked at Rudolph, and he was happy. I could tell. Like, you getting on, picking this up, are you? And I look at him, and he and I are the only one really eye connecting. Military people, like, different world. So I just went, is this heat recognition alloy? It's picking up the heat radiation off of me and reflecting it on the hull. And I thought, God, that's pretty cool. So I turned around and asked Rudolph, can I climb up on top? Because the bone work was like lattice work. It's like a rib cage casting down on each end, and the meeting in the center, the ribbing would kind of interlace, so it's protecting the big structure underneath.
So you can climb it like a ladder?
Well, you could. It's just, you know, think of a big skeleton of a dinosaur. You can crawl up that thing. So, because it had angles and horizontals and perpendiculars, so you got ways of climbing up on it. So I looked at Rudolph and said, can I climb up on this thing? And he said, first thing you hear all the Air Force people, no. Yeah, go ahead. And I actually said thanks to him, and the only time I really thanked him. So I crawl up on this thing, and as I crawl on the bone, wherever I'm touching the bone structure, nothing. But the big smooth area that's recessed inside that the bone structure is protecting, when you touch it, I swim with, go to a place where you swim with dolphins and all that. It felt just like a dolphin skin. And you push hard, I pushed on it. It'd go in a little bit, and then it's just like rock. So it's like organic covering with steel or some kind of alloy on the inside.
Okay, now it's getting really interesting. I'm glad we stuck around. I was a little skeptical at first, and I'm not giving up on it yet, but it's getting good. It's getting really good, and I'm hoping it gets even better. On that note, I'm calling it for today. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Please come on back in a couple of days. We're gonna watch some new stuff. I'll say different things, and it's gonna be fantastic. Until then, have a wonderful day. If you've been here for any amount of time, then you know that me and Billy Carson had a bit of a falling out. Well, I had a falling out. He doesn't even know I exist. And it was over the whole emerald tablets of Thoth, because they don't exist. And I do find this particular bit of information that he's brought forward fascinating. How we do have this underlying desire, no? So I'm not 100% sure what just happened there. So it sounds like perhaps the conversation was previous to the fires happening in LA, but at the same time, did Biden invite her somewhere else after the fact? I don't know. And she was gone for 2 days? Almost said 2 years. Well, she's been gone for 2 years. But, so, if YouTube pulled the video, so if YouTube didn't just show you an awesome video about the World Health Organization, so if YouTube didn't show you an awesome 2.5 minute clip about the World